It is Tuesday, January the 17th. I do believe that's what today's date is. And it's wet, soggy, muddy, and nasty around here, but the sun is out and it's really warm today. I had a guy comment on my video about which vehicle I should take to the No Name Nationals in Missouri in September, and his pick was the red Chevy C10, but he also requested a video on this truck just in general. So I told him as soon as we got some weather worth mentioning that I'd make one, and here we are. So as previously stated, it is a 70 Chevy C10. It's got a Goodwrench 350 in it, 3-speed on the column, still has drum brakes all the way around, manual brakes, power steering, non-AC truck. And it's, you know, it looks okay, especially from a few feet away, but, you know, it's not really a great paint job. And of course, it seems like I can't ever keep the thing clean. I wash it religiously in the summer. And of course, right now it's got mud all over it. I kind of got a little bit marred up whenever I backed out of my parking space into the yard over there a few minutes ago. Bed's always got junk in it, and this is a good example of what I'm talking about. The truck's really not as nice as it looks. It's a good driver, but it's got rust. It's got a lot of hidden rust, which I never really understood, because it probably wouldn't have taken any more work to just actually fix the rust than what somebody put into this thing to try to hide the rust. But like I said, I don't care that it's not perfect. I drive this thing all the time, and for a everyday driver, it's just got the right amount of crust. It really is a pretty nice truck. Give you guys the rundown on the interior here. Still has a fuel tank behind the seat. Seat's been recovered in it at some point in time. It's not perfect either. The springs are kind of clapped out. I put the Monte Carlo Super Sport steering wheel in this thing. When I got it, it had one of them big old fat foam, like 90s Cavalier or something or another steering wheel in it. It was awful. It looked awful. So I had to get rid of that. In the video of me driving this truck, there's actually a 70s, like a mid-70s Chevy truck wheel in that video. I don't know. Don't really know what to say about it. I mean, you know, here's the interior. Somebody replaced the weather stripping and stuff, but even they didn't do such a great job on that because it's constantly trying to come off down here. The gas pedal never wants to stay on it. It's got the little things in the floor that it rides on, so it's not a hinged pedal. I've stuck it on there a million different times. It always falls off and annoys me, so until I come up with a better solution for that, it's just staying off from there. Like so many of these trucks, the gas gauge doesn't work. I'm sure it's probably a ground issue or something. It's got an aftermarket, sort of original looking radio in it that is absolute garbage. It's never worked correctly as long as I've had the truck, and it's also never wanted to stay in the dash correctly since I've owned the truck. So at some point I'll probably just do away with that and either get a better quality radio or swap to something different altogether. Another thing, just like so many of these trucks, the window regulators are wore out and hinky. The windows obviously roll up and down, but you have to like assist them up and down with your hand and this and that. You know, just typical old Chevy truck problems. I don't know if I can do this one-handed or not, so I'm gonna sit you down there for a second. There's the motor. It's got one of those, whatever you call them, Oga horns in it, and it works. Like I said, power steering, manual brakes, non-AC. I did put a new master cylinder on it already. I've just not gotten to the rest of the brake work that it needs yet. And something I've discovered just here recently when I drove it the last time the other day, like so many of these GMs, or at least in my experience, the stupid water neck is leaking coolant out from around the gasket. So before warm weather gets here and I start driving this thing regularly again, I'm gonna have to sort that out. The thing actually has a pretty nice set of long tube headers on it. It was like that when I got it, so you know, why bother changing it? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And like I said, I mean, the truck actually runs pretty healthy. Dang acorn in there. A bunch of acorns in there. I'll have to hit that with a vacuum. Had to put a new battery in it a while back. Of course, I hit it with the old $50 Rural King Special. And right around that time, the starter also went out in this thing. And since it's a 3-speed, it takes one of those old style with the 3 bolts that bolts into the bell housing rather than 2 up into the block. And I had a pretty fun time getting that sorted out because they didn't have any in stock at the parts store. To order a new one would have been like $120 or some astronomical price. And so I ended up finding a brand new starter I bought when I was in high school for a Camaro. And I think it only ever got used a few times before I parted the car out, basically. And I pretty much dissected the old starter, and then combined the two so I'd have the right end on it to bolt onto this motor. You may have noticed by now, I don't know how well you can see it on video, but this truck, or at least this hood and fenders and stuff on here, were orange at some point in their life. I can't say about the rest of the truck. Like, I don't know any history on this thing. I don't know if it's original or not. I doubt it. You know, I know for a fact, obviously, the motor's not original. But as far as body and stuff goes, couldn't tell you. Don't know anything about it. But like I said, you know, pretty nice old truck. I traded for it year before last, I think it was. And yeah, like I said, it's got an older paint job and stuff on it, but you know, like I said, it's a pretty decent looking truck, especially when it's clean. And it seems to run okay. Actually, it runs great. I've driven it everywhere. I've been out of the state in it and everything. The only thing that kind of sucks about it with the 3-speed is this thing's actually got a decently low rear end in it. I think it's got 373s. And so it's kind of, it hums pretty good going down the highway if you're on the interstate. But otherwise, I mean, it does really well. And honestly, doesn't get terrible gas mileage. The carburetor on it, that's one thing I did change. It had a Edelbrock 1406 on it when I got it, and just like so many Edelbrock 1406s, it was endlessly problematic. And so I stuck a Quadrajet that I rebuilt years ago and had laying on a shelf on it. And other than the fact the choke doesn't want to work, the carburetor actually performs beautifully otherwise. Let's see if we can get this thing to start. Here, take it out of gear. There we go. Of course, it fired right up this time because I had it running 10 minutes ago when I moved it over here. But it sounds pretty decent. I have no idea what sort of cam or anything like that it's got in it. But it does run smooth and has plenty of power. So yeah. So I don't know how good you can see them here, but even those old fog lights work on this thing, which I was surprised whenever I got this truck and discovered that they do work. And of course, I don't know if they're really vintage necessarily or anything like that, but they are pretty cool. And it kind of tickles me that they actually work. A lot of the time when I drive it around the summer after dark, I'll actually turn them on. Even the switch looks old for them. There it is. Got a pretty snappy throttle response. The clutch in this thing feels beautiful too. Shifter's a little bit sloppy, but I have definitely driven them that were far worse. So yeah, that's pretty much the rundown on this truck. Like I said, I don't know what else to say about it necessarily. And of course, you know, if anybody sees this video and they want more specific details on something particularly about this truck, just leave a comment down below and I'll be happy to make another video. I'm always happy to oblige what the viewers want, if it's at all possible. So there it is. Subscribe to my channel, leave a comment, and yeah, let me know what you guys think.